Welcome back to The Express and North Van's Artists for Kids Gallery. There's a lot of green here with artist Ross Penhall's work, but do you see any seafoam on the palette? Remember that old commercial making fun of ugly bridesmaid dresses? Well, thankfully, depending on the bride-to-be, the trend may be turning from gaudy to glamorous.
Carrots Wedding Bells is brought to you by Carrots, online at carrots.com.
Hi, I'm Aubrey.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Wedding Bells.
I just got engaged.
And I did not. We're on an adventure to plan the big day. When you've been bridesmaids as many times as Sarah and I have, you ponder, have we ever worn any of those dresses again? The answer is no. So we headed to Frocks Modern Bridesmaids.
Frocks is Canada's first store that's dedicated to the bridesmaid. So there's no other stores in Canada that actually focuses on making the bridesmaid have fun when they're picking out dresses and also finding dresses that they actually might want to wear again.
Aha! That's what I like to hear.
How can I keep my bridesmaids happy? So we're still speaking at the end of 2011.
But find the dress style that suits them, their personality and body type. Any style you want, but go with the same designer, please. You'll make them happy that way.
While Sarah enjoyed the licorice, I tried on dress number 1.
That's really pretty. Aubrey has really nice legs. We should show her legs.
One of the great things about this dress is that the waist is right here, so you eat your 5-course meal and you sit down and nothing to worry about. I'd wear this again and again and again. Everywhere. Grocery shopping.
This is probably one of the most popular dresses in the store right now.
I love it on you. It's so beautiful, but it's not your style. Oh my God. That's your dress. I love it.
If the bridesmaid starts dancing, then you're like, oh, that's her dress.
What I love about these dresses is that they're not bridesmaidy. What makes a bridesmaid's dress bridesmaidy?
A lot of it's, well,
the bad fabric.
The bad fabric.
I love this dress.
This one's a bit big. This one feels a little more bridesmaidy, and Catherine says it's because it's 3 tones. Dun, da, da, da. Is this a beautiful dress or what? I don't think that this would be a dress that I would pick, but I think it's so classic, it's so beautiful that you just, it looks amazing on everyone.
What are the trends in colors for, say, 2010-11?
The deep blues, teal blues, deep plums and purples, but just the really stronger colors are in. You don't have to be matchy-matchy in terms of the dresses have to match the invitations and the decor, because the bridesmaids aren't going to have pictures taken holding up the invitations.
You don't know. You haven't seen the wedding planning. Sarah decided on orange, yellow, and pink. Beautiful.
We measure you and then you choose your size from a size chart. We've had instances where people have chosen a couple sizes down because they feel they're going to lose the weight. It's very easy to take a dress in, but you can't let a dress out.
You might have to have a replacement bridesmaid. So as far as I'm concerned, I could wear any of these dresses and be extremely happy.
I can wear any of these dresses and be extremely happy.
Sarah's probably buying 4 of them just because. And I'm probably buying the other 3 just because. So it's been a good, successful trip to Frocks. For Shaw TV, we're the Wedding Bells.
Carrots Wedding Bells has been brought to you by Carrots, online at carrots.com.
So the dresses are decided. Now how about where to honeymoon? If you're looking for a romantic getaway and you only have time for a quickie, there's a beautiful spot in the West Kootenays that we're exploring on today's road trip segment, Ainsworth Hot Spring Resort.
Travel along with us on the Quality Assured Collision Road Trip as we explore the many marvelous attractions and activities of beautiful British Columbia.
The Kootenays offer spectacular scenic views, and there's no better way to take in the breathtaking scenery of the picturesque Kootenay Lake than from the warmth of one of the many Kootenay hot springs. This week's road trip takes the plunge into Ainsworth Hot Springs. During the 1880s, miners flocked to Ainsworth for the silver mines. Now the miners have all gone and the hot springs take center stage. Every year, over 100,000 visitors from all over the world take the side trip to the Ainsworth Hot Springs.
But it is mostly destination because of the location, the highways. We're not on a major highway, so yeah, it's just happens that way.
One of the most unique features of the Ainsworth Hot Springs is the cave. The 150-foot horseshoe cave is where the water first enters the hot springs at 117 degrees Fahrenheit. Mineral waters fall from the roof of the caves, providing a natural steam bath and creating stalagmites and stalactites throughout.
It was sometime in the 20s, apparently. There was a realization that something had to be done. There was a bit of a fold in the tufa, if you will, which appeared to be a cave, which is approximately where the cave on the right goes in now. And there were miners, and one gentleman, Mr. Shradden, took it upon him, or was hired, I believe, to dig out the caves, and it was no big feat for miners. This is quite soft material.
The odorless water found in the pools is said to offer purifying qualities as well as help to melt away the stress of city life.
There's a zinc content in the water. It's very small, but it is great for making your skin clear, if you will. It's very effective plus apparently there's some lithium, which is supposed to be nature's tranquilizer, so you're supposed to be very peaceful.
Located just over an hour's drive from the West Kootenay Regional Airport, Ainsworth Hot Springs is a truly unique Kootenay destination. For Shaw TV's Road Trip in Ainsworth, I'm Jennifer Waldy.
Entertaining and informative, the Quality Assured Collision Road Trip. Weekends on Shaw TV. Always something new and exciting.
Next week on the road trip segment, we're visiting one of my favorite places to visit near Harrison, Minter Gardens, a 32-acre world-class show garden. You're watching The Express, and we have more local stories coming up.
No windows, and I have
after the break,
artificial light, which I work under.
The working studio of North Shore artist Ross Penhall. Storytellers at Vancouver's Circle Craft Gallery. The Express. This is your local voice.
Training tips are brought to you by Team Diabetes.
More than 9 million Canadians are living with diabetes, including my older sister. She was diagnosed with type 1 when she was just 3 years old. I want to find a cure. She's my inspiration to run a half marathon in Iceland with Team Diabetes. The only problem is, I hate running. So I figured out one thing I detest more than running: wearing my bathing suit on camera.
So inhale, exhale, shh.
The water is a very forgiving environment, so if you're working out, you're leaving no impact on the joints in the deep pool, and if you go to the shallow end, there's very little impact on the joints.
You're gonna bring your knees to your chest, shoot your body all the way through so you end up on your back. Water wings!
You can do core work in the shallow end, and basically you can really isolate the stabilizing muscles in the water, which are very beneficial for running.
Okay, a few hundred more of these and maybe I won't be so bikini shy. Or maybe it's more like 200 more.
If you have a sprained ankle or an injury you're trying to rehabilitate, you can stand in the water and the hydrostatic pressure actually pushes the blood up and gets the blood going.
Well, that's one way to make a splash. Of course, the best part about a water workout, hitting the hot tub afterwards. To donate or sign up, go to teamdiabetes.ca. For Shaw TV, I'm Johanna Ward. Welcome back to The Express at the Artists for Kids Gallery on the North Shore inside the temporary Penhall studio. We're going to get a little tour starting with your artistic inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, these are just a collection of photos and sketches that I collect. I take them out of my sketchbook so that they don't get all rubbed and ruined, and I put them in a safe Tupperware container, stay waterproof.
And go back to that stuff over the years,
I do, yeah. I refer back to it, and it's quite nice.
A little history here with the fireman.
Yeah, those people give me these things. This was after September 11th. They made these dolls, and you get to put your number on it and everything.
Nice.
And these are cigar boxes, which I love painting. I love the hard surface, and they're just different right now I'm just sort of doing underpaintings on them, and I think I might leave them. They're just sort of good the way they are.
Yeah, they're quite gorgeous. And then I guess a lot of the books along here, so different people who've inspired you, and that was one of the things you mentioned to the kids, that, you know, pulling from other artists.
Yeah, and so consciously or subconsciously, we tend to do that. You know, we look at things. And
including the action figure of Da Vinci?
Again, friends giving me things that they think is so funny, and they send them to me.
I do think it's funny.
They mail them to me, and they
cool.
arrive on my doorstep, and it's funny.
Do you think, does this represent what your regular working studio is like then?
A little smaller.
Yeah.
But no windows, and I have just artificial light, which I work under. And
you have everything good, and of course the most important stuff, the paints and the
Yes, and my trolley, which is I wheel around the studio, move it in, move it out, close all my paints.
And the best part is that you just walk around with the paintbrush in hand.
Yep.
There it is, true artist. Thanks,
Feels natural.
Penhall Studio runs until May 11th here at the Artists for Kids Gallery in North Vancouver. Admissions by donation. And some exciting news for the gallery. In late 2012, they'll be moving to a way bigger and brand new space on Lonsdale. So that's the future here. What about the future for the Space Shuttle? That's the topic at today's visit to the H.R. MacMillan Space Centre.
The Space Shuttle. Now, the Space Shuttle has been around for a long time. In fact, it started out on a napkin drawing back in the 50s and 60s. The 70s was when they were starting to pioneer it, and of course, we just had the 30th anniversary of the Space Shuttle launch this year. So, 1981, 2011 marks the 30-year anniversary, and unfortunately, also the end of the Space Shuttle program. So the space shuttles are being retired. Last launch is scheduled for June of this year. And we're going to have to find a new way of going into space. But before the space shuttle is retired, we get a lot of questions here about what exactly makes up the space shuttle. A lot of people call the space shuttle the entire thing, including all the rockets and in the tanks. But in fact, they're made up of very specific parts. The orbiter is actually the what most people consider the shuttle, and that's the vehicle that's on the top. On either side are the solid rocket boosters, and then it sits on top of that giant orange external tank. Some of these parts are reusable. Which parts are reusable?
So the rocket boosters are reusable.
And those are the solid rocket boosters on the side. And the best way to explain what the solid rocket boosters are, they actually provide over 80% of the initial thrust to get the space shuttle up off the ground, and they are kind of like a Roman candle. So if you've ever had a firework and you light that on fire, it just goes. So there's no way to stop a Roman candle from burning, and there's no way to actually stop the solid rocket boosters. Once those things are ignited, they're going to burn all of their fuel. They're going to provide all of that thrust, and then when they're done their job, just before they get into space, they drop off, and
they're picked up from the ocean.
And the Navy goes out there and picks them up. The tank that's in the center, that big external tank, which is painted orange, carries with it super cold liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, and those are for the main rocket engines on the orbiter. And when it finally extinguishes all of its fuel, it also detaches, but it's up so high that it actually burns up in the atmosphere. Now, back where we are at the H.R. MacMillan Space Center, behind us, we have the Russian version of the space shuttle, the Buran. They didn't end up using it, and in fact, there's an irony in that, in the fact that how are we now getting stuff into space now that the shuttle is ending its life?
So now we're asking the Russians to send people to space.
We're asking the Russians to do it, and the Russians are using good old-fashioned rockets. So a staged rocket, the same thing that we were using to put astronauts on the moon back in the 60s, and the Russians kind of stayed with that technology, and in fact they've really quite perfected it. It's a very safe and economical way. So have no fear, we are still going to be able to get people to and from the International Space Station. We're hitching a ride with the Russian-made rockets, and eventually the US will develop programs for going into space, but their focus now is on exciting the private sector. So to get people interested into going into space, they're trying to get the private sector to do it so that it can generate new ideas, hopefully safer, greener technologies, and cheaper overall. For The Express, I'm Cam Cronin here at the H.R. MacMillan Space Center.
I'm Raminder Samra.
And hey, have a blast.
If you're a history buff, the Space Center has a special event coming up on May the 7th. It's a talk, The Greeks, the Sea, and the Sky, all about sailing and navigation in the ancient Mediterranean. Of course, if you're also into drinking, dancing, and drama, we've got that too with our spotlight on more local events. Get your groove on at the 70s themed dance party, talent contest, and fundraiser. 100% of the proceeds will support the North Shore Adaptive Hiking Program. A perennial hit since it first opened in 1964, Fiddler on the Roof returns to the stage with the poignant story about the enduring bonds of the family. Featuring 55 breweries, 70 venues, and 9 days of beer, Vancouver Craft Beer Week offers a series of festival events and showcases the best beer BC has to offer. And as we mentioned earlier, Penhall's studio here at the Artists for Kids Gallery runs until May 11th, admission by donation. Now that's it for today's Express. We're going to leave you with more from the local art scene and a visual tour of the Circle Craft Gallery's new exhibit, and we'll see you next time.